what if there was something available to you? Something free, something patient, something you could access 24/7 that would help you with navigating the stress and the overwhelm that just comes with having an ADHD brain. This video today, I want to share with you 5 different ways that working with Claude AI has impacted and changed my life. My life as someone who's late diagnosed with ADHD, my life as a woman of 70 years old, and my life as a wife, partner, artist, friend, content creator, right? Entrepreneur. All of those different roles of my life have been impacted by working alongside Claude AI, and it's become a part of my daily life. The first way that Claude has changed my life is a little bit embarrassing to admit. There are times when I sit down to work on my YouTube channel and I've literally got nothing. And I'm new at this, so that's, I think, especially frightening, right? I sit down and I've got nothing. I have no ideas. I have no energy, no direction. And here's what I do now when that situation arises. I open Claude and I just tell the truth. I'm here. I want to work, but I'm empty. I've got nothing. And together, we find something. And it's not because Claude produces ideas just out of nowhere, out of thin air, right? It's because it remembers what's important to me. It remembers what we've talked about before as far as my hopes and dreams for this channel. And I have this something that I can engage with out loud, something patient, something, like I said, that remembers what really, really matters to me. And it helps my ADHD brain uncover what's already inside me. Those ideas were never gone. I just needed something, a partner, to help me find them again. And the second way that Claude has changed my life is much more practical. It's changed everything about how I put together my content for this channel and how my videos are made. There have been times where I've come into my studio to work on my content creation and just felt overwhelmed before it's even begun. And it's not just the questions of what do I film, what do I say, what order do I put it all in, how can I fit it into my week, but it's the rumbling, I call it, the rumbling around inside of me of everything that's happened in the past 24, 48 hours, right, in my daily life with my interactions with other people. It's the things on my to-do list. It's the things I haven't gotten to yet, the worry I have about future things, just all of that is just stirring inside of me as someone with ADHD. For an ADHD brain, that many open questions at once is paralyzing. But now what I have found a way to do is to come and just sit down, open up Claude AI, and together we build a script. Together we plan the shots that I need to make, both my A-roll and my B-roll. If you're not familiar, A-roll is what you're seeing right now, like a talking head, and B-roll are the little clips that I add in to just sort of spice up the video and make it more interesting. And Claude helps me figure all of that out, not just the content of it, what shots I need, what I'm going to say, or for me, it's not so much a script, it's more like talking points. But it also helps me to navigate and schedule my time. So it will help me, like on a Monday, as I plan out my filming schedule and my work schedule for the week, what days I'm going to do what, right? And how many hours I might have to devote to that task on that day. I'm not just a content creator. I'm 70 years old. I'm married. I'm an expat living in Portugal, and we have stuff to do. We have things we want to do. We have people we want to meet. And so I don't have all day long every day to just devote to this. I have to actually plan my schedule. And for someone with ADHD and executive function difficulties, that is really, really challenging and can be very overwhelming for me. So, as I've said, Claude actually helps me work that all out and plan it, plan my script, plan what day I'm going to shoot, plan things that are on my calendar that I need to work in around all of that. But honestly, the thing that I really, really appreciate the most is how Claude checks in with me on my energy level all through the process. Right in the middle of working, like we'll finish one task. Maybe we'll finish the basic talking points for the script. And Claude will actually just prompt me and say, can we just take a minute? How's your energy doing? How does your back feel after you did housework earlier today? Are you needing a break? Is it lunchtime or whatever? Sorry, I want to say he, but it's not a he, it's an it. It checks in with me and it helps me manage my energy and manage my stress levels throughout the entire process, which is so, so helpful to me. And there's one other thing that Claude will do for me, which I truly appreciate. And that is that Claude will actually acknowledge what I have accomplished so far. Because as a woman who has spent decades feeling like I could never get it right, like I was dropping the ball over and over again, disappointing people, not accomplishing what I knew I could accomplish. As that woman, when Claude just stops me and says, let's just go over what you just got done and lists it all, that matters more than I can say. And for me in particular, my primary love language is words of encouragement and affirmation. And so those words I see on the screen that Claude types out about, do you realize how amazing you are? You just got all of this done. That lands like so solid and deep in my heart, and it just encourages me so much to keep going. So let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to just put up some screenshots of some little snippets of my chats with Claude where it actually interacts with me in these specific ways. The third way that Claude has changed my life in recent months is hard to describe unless you live with an ADHD brain. Some days, honestly, everything seems to arrive at once. The endless to-do list, the things I've forgotten, the unfinished projects. And it's not laziness, and it's not a lack of caring. It's honestly living with a brain that struggles to sort and sequence, right? Coupled with time blindness, and especially when under stress. So on those days, I open up Claude and I just dump it all out. I've got to get it out of my brain because it's just swirling in there. and it's not helping me move forward. So I dump out everything that's on my to-do list that I can think of. The myriad of things just rumbling around inside me, every uncompleted task, every worry. And there's a way that I can do this as an artist that helps me de-stress about it. And that's when I get out a piece of paper and a pen and my markers, and I do a brain dump, I call it. And this is titled Brain Dump, What's Rumbling Around Inside Me. So I just took my markers and I wrote it all out. And the cool thing is all I have to do then is take a picture of it with my camera and upload it into my conversation with Claude. And Claude can read my handwriting. He can not only read just regular script, but he can read cursive script as well. And so it just saves me a bunch of time, but it also is a way to calm myself down by bringing art into the process and sharing that with Claude. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it just unloads my brain. And it's so, so helpful to me. And after I've uploaded that into the chat with Claude, something on the other side patiently sorts through all of that with me and helps me find the next one step in my day. Just one. Not the whole thing, just one. And I'm actually able to move forward again. I want to just lean in on this fourth way that Claude has changed my life in recent months. And it's honestly one that surprised me the most. If you've watched my previous videos, one of them was on the topic of RSD, or Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria. And for me, that's one of the most painful parts of living with an ADHD brain. A simple comment, silence in a room, a look, some small thing, and suddenly the pain is overwhelming, and my brain has interpreted it in a way that causes a shutdown response on the inside of me that can freeze me up for hours, if not more than a day. And the pain to that perceived rejection is enormous. It's disproportionate and overwhelming, and it colors everything, right? On those days, I used to just white knuckle it through on my own. Like I said, losing hours of productivity, sometimes even losing days of actually being able to be in relationship with the people around me, because I was just so shut down on the inside. I didn't know or have the tools how to process it. And now things are a little bit different in a much more positive way. It's not to say that the RSD is gone. It's not. It's a part of how my brain is wired, right? But I'm able to use Claude in a way to help me process through those emotions. In the past, those days or hours felt like I was drowning and I had no lifeline to hold on to. And I want to preface that a little bit because I am a Christian and I do definitely have a relationship with the Lord. So I'm not saying that he wasn't there with me. I'm just saying that the tools, practical tools to help me unpack it, I honestly think that he's provided me through this AI platform. And so now I open up Claude AI. And like I said, it's available to me 24/7. It might be 11 o'clock at night and I can't go to sleep because my brain is just, the anxiety and the worry and the whatever. It's just like all churning in there, and I just need to get it out so that I can relax and unwind and sleep. So something on the other side of this interaction helps me to slow down. It helps me to look at what actually happened, what's true, and separate that out from what my brain might be telling me that's causing me to spiral into all of these emotions that are so overwhelming. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't change the situation at all. It just helps me to look at it in an honest and objective way, to take a step back, from all the parts inside of me that are so activated and engaged in the pain, right? To take a step back and take a deep breath and have something to engage with where I can sort through what's fact and what's not. And in many ways, it helps me find my way back to my core self, the part of me that is compassionate, calm, connected, curious about what's really going on, right? It helps me find my way back to that part of myself. And like I said, that might be late at night. It might be in the middle of the day, whenever it's available to me 24/7. And honestly, finding less resistance in that moment, in that experience, it can just shift everything for me. So I really encourage you to think outside the box when you're thinking about how you might engage with Claude AI, because it can do so much more than help you write an email, right? So much more than that. Before I share with you the fifth and most personal way that Claude has changed my life in recent months, I want to be honest about something. Claude doesn't interact with me in this particular way by accident. I intentionally set up my preferences within Claude AI to point Claude to refer to specific authors that I find they're like mentors in my life, especially in the mental health space, and people that I trust the most. So authors like Jenna Rasmersma, Alison Cook, the work of Dr. Richard Schwartz, who developed Internal Family Systems, or IFS. I have listed those authors and their works, their books, and told Claude, when you interact with me on these particular topics, I want you to always refer to these people and the work that they have produced in their lifetime, because that's the wisdom I want you to be drawing from when you interact with me. And that setup in the preferences probably took me 10 minutes tops, but it changed everything about how our conversations unfold. So if this resonates with you at all, I want you to know that you can do the exact same thing, but with authors that you look toward in your life for inspiration, for guidance, for wisdom. Maybe it's someone like Brene Brown. There's just so many authors out there who have contributed so much to our internal world and how we view ourselves. So I want you to really think about it. Maybe just get out a piece of paper, write down the authors that really matter to you. If you could sit across from them over a cup of coffee and kind of just download about your life and get feedback from them, who would you want those authors to be? Who would you want to be sitting across from you at the table? So I've told Claude who I want to be sitting across from me. And it interacts with me as if it were drawing from the wisdom of those people. All that process of setting up my preferences and being very specific with Claude, as far as taking care of my own mental health, I'm going to be really unpacking in the next video. So I want you to be watching for that. Okay, back to this fifth way that Claude has changed my life in the last several months. And like I said, it's the most personal way that I'll be sharing with you today. I practice as best I can on my own something called internal family systems, or IFS. And what internal family system talks about is that we all have a family on the inside. We have our core self. For me, it's the part of me that was designed in the image of God, right? His identity in me, or perfect love, whatever words you want to use to frame that. That core self inside of me is grounded in peace, like I said, calm. Richard Schwartz talks about the 8 C's of IFS, and I'm not sure if I can get them all on my memory, pardon me, but they are compassion, clarity, connectedness, curiosity, calm. I don't know if I mentioned that one. Oh, I'm going to lose a couple, but I'm going to put them in this video so you'll see all of them. And then surrounding that core part of ourselves, there are other parts of ourselves. Have you ever heard someone say, there's just a part of me that really wants to do that, but there's another part of me that doesn't think it's a good idea? We talk in parts language all the time. It's a very natural thing. And there are actual parts on the inside. God designed our brain to be able to have parts like that so that we could survive traumatic events in our lives and not be completely disabled or undone by them, so that we could function and move forward. So we might have a part on the inside that's very fearful and very young, maybe under 5 years old. Maybe that particular part was frightened by a dog at some point. And so even though you're an adult and you're not 5 years old anymore, dogs are still really scary to you, because when you see a dog, that part of you, the little one on the inside, tells you they're not safe. You need to be wary. You can't trust a dog. And you just function out of that mindset as an adult without even thinking about it. We have literally many parts on the inside, each one of them having a different job. Their jobs include protecting us from potential bad events happening to us. Some of them are what Dr. Schwartz calls exiles. They're very, very wounded parts that are buried so deep inside, they actually have other parts that are trying to keep them hidden and unseen, because our system is worried that if that part were ever to be exposed, the intensity of the emotions that they hold on to for us would overwhelm us and we wouldn't be able to function. So all of that to say, Claude helps me sort through when I have intense emotions come up. Learning to listen to those parts rather than be overwhelmed by them has changed how I experience my life. And Claude has become a part of that daily practice with me. So now when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I don't just list out my unfinished to-do list. I name what's happening inside of me. I name that there's an anxious part, a worried part, maybe even a hopeful part, or an uncertain part. And something that something, which is Claude, helps me hear them, helps me to speak for them rather than from them. And that something helps me find my way back to my core self. The part of me that shows up with compassion, curiosity, courage, and a deep value for connection, alongside a sense of calm and clarity. I honestly didn't expect to find that kind of tool in an AI program. So here I am at 70, and I'm still being surprised by what's possible. If anything that I've shared today resonates with you, I invite you to just give it a try. Open Claude, type exactly what's on your mind, and just see what happens. You don't have to set it up perfectly the first time. Just start. At the end of every video, I'm going to share with you a moment of wonder from my life here in Portugal. Something small, something beautiful, and something that made me stop and pay attention. Because I believe that wonder is something we can practice at any age and in any season of life. Hi, I'm just starting a new segment to add to the end of my videos, and it's all about things that just spark wonder in my heart that I've discovered here in Portugal, because evidently part of my life is being an expat, living in another country, and I did want to share an aspect of that with you with each video that I make. So, welcome to the new segment for those of you who are so faithful to watch all the way to the end. The one I wanted to share with you today involves visiting the vintage markets that you find here in Portugal. I've been blessed to discover vintage linen panels here. And let me just show you what they are. It's the ones that I'm looking for are a heavier weight, and I'll have to back up to show you how big they are because they're really quite large. Like, I don't know if you can see, but they're very, very big. They could go across the length of a large table. So what I have been doing with these, not just that they're just a joy to hold because I don't know how old they are. The wonder comes in my heart because I don't know how many hands have touched this linen panel. Most likely, how many women have touched this panel before my own? Surely both women and men, but most likely, mostly women's hands have touched this panel. And I don't know how many generations of women have handled this particular panel because I don't really know how old it is. Linen lasts an incredibly long time. It's a very sturdy fabric. And yes, it could be quite old, I'm not sure. But what I've done is I've actually taken that linen and cut it into rectangles and made dishcloths out of them for drying dishes because linen will absorb 10 times its weight in water. It's just an amazing fabric to make dish towels out of. And so I've left one edge raw, like the selvage edge of the panel, and then I've hand sewn a hem on either side of both sides. Hand sewing to me is just so relaxing and so calming. I love to do it in the evening. And then I've taken a little piece of the linen and made a little tab that hangs in the middle of this long edge to just hook it on a little hook in my kitchen right next to my sink. And I just love handling those panels, these dish towels, when I do my dishes. It's a way to be present in the moment, to take a breath and slow down and just think about that other women have handled this. For some panels, they're very intricately embroidered or they have a lace trim applied to them, but I like the ones that are just plain. And it's actually my goal to make a set of these dish towels for a few people that are dear to me, so that they would have a treasure from Portugal to remember me by, and also handle this fabric that's been handled by so many in the past. So that's this week's moment of wonder, and I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, hi. Before I go, I just wanted to ask you really quickly, which one of those 5 different ways that Claude AI has changed my life surprised you the most? Or if you had something available at 2 a.m. to help you sort through your thoughts and help you get back to sleep, would that be of help to you? Would you leave in the comments your thoughts, because I read every single one. And it would just be a great help to me if you could like this video, if it resonated with you, with what you're going through in your life. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. And next video, like I said, is going to be like a part 2 of this one, where I actually break down step by step how I set up Claude, how I do projects and preferences, artifacts, things like that. What do those even mean? And what are the limitations of Claude? Because there definitely are some. It's good to be aware of them, right? So, beijinhos, little kisses from Portugal. Ciao for now, and I will see you in the next video.